The Slate VMS ML-1 microphone. I'm guessing you're curious about it. Maybe you want to buy one for yourself, but is it really worth it? Well, I just picked one up because it's been on sale. I'm talking into it right now. I'll give you my opinion on it and play you a few audio examples, and we'll find out. What's up, everyone? You're watching Roy Thompson Audio. To cut to the chase, yes, this mic sounds good. I can't speak for whether it actually sounds like the real mics it's supposed to model, but yes, it does have a lot of different sounds to it, and a lot of them sound pretty good. It's also really fun to just swap in and out different microphone models and hear all the different possibilities. Some models sound more interesting than others. I would say the FG251 and FG800 are my favorites. Testing them out on vocals and acoustic guitar, they just sound mix ready to me. Very bright and open, just appealing kind of sounds. But then you have models like the FG47, which is very dark and full in the mid-range, or the FG7, which has a very dull sound overall. It's not necessarily that one mic model is better than the other. There's just a variety of sounds. They certainly all aren't the same. And that's going to be super helpful if you record a lot of different sources and you want to match a mic model to the actual instrument or voice that you're recording. Like I said, there's a lot of options there. So it's definitely a good sounding mic, very versatile. But again, is it worth it? Should you actually pick one up for yourself? Well, let me give you some context into my thought process. I remember when I jumped from a crummy USB sort of webcam mic to my first large diaphragm condenser. And I think this mic was about $100, and that was way better than the piece of crap I was using. A few years later, I upgraded to the Blue Bird, and that again was a noticeable improvement, even though that mic was only maybe $300 or $400, not much more expensive. And that's kind of the game we play with audio gear. If I spend this much money on a piece of gear, is it gonna make my recording that much better? And to be honest, I haven't bought a new microphone in like 10 years. And I've been able to have productions with millions of plays with some of these budget mics. At the end of the day, the mic is not the end-all be-all. If you don't have a good song, a good performance, a decent mix, if you're thinking about upgrading your microphone or any piece of gear really, I think you have to ask yourself, is that really the weak part of my chain? Is that where my recordings could use improvement? If you're already using a decent large diaphragm condenser, I wouldn't expect the ML-1 to 10x your recordings, because I have to say, the difference between the VMS ML-1 mic and some of these budget condensers isn't as big as you might think it would be. Yes, the VMS sounds awesome. It has character and vibe that some of my budget condensers don't have. There is a difference there, but it's not as dramatic as you might think it would be. If you're using an SM58 or an SM7, I do think you'll hear some more openness and clarity and vibe in some of the emulations. But again, those are decent microphones. So if you're not already getting good results with a 58 or the SM7 or a decent large diaphragm condenser, then the microphone might not be the issue in your recordings. Now, if you are using a super cheap mic or you don't even have any mics, then the ML-1 is going to be an awesome first microphone or an awesome upgrade to whatever kind of crap mic that you've picked up at like Radio Shack or Best Buy. You're not going to be disappointed if you have nothing to compare it to. But if you already have a decent mic or two, then be honest with yourself. Crummy takes or poor EQ decisions, even an untreated room, those things might actually hurt your recording more than a microphone itself. I think it's worth having that conversation before you go and blow a bunch of money. All right, enough chit chat. Let's actually listen to this microphone. I've recorded some vocals and acoustic guitar, probably what a lot of singer-songwriters are going to be recording. And I tested out all of the classic tube mic models versus my Blue Bird and my MXL 2001, which again are kind of my go-to budget microphones that get the job done. If you want to download the WAV files, there's a link in the description. You can pull these into your DAW and really deep dive if you'd like, or if you do want to hear some of the instruments more soloed. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. You can't stop me now. I've got my feet back on the ground. If you want some more tips on how to get better vocals, check out my free guide, 6 Steps to Stellar Vocal Tracks. The link is in the description of this video. And of course, you can hit subscribe here on YouTube. I got a lot more videos coming up. My name is Roy, and thanks for watching.